All right, so we actually got in the mail. We've been waiting for weeks, a couple weeks here, to get this in the mail. This beautiful thing. This is our seat, our BMW seat bracket. I really just need these little rubber pieces here, but this whole thing was the best value. It was like 22 bucks. I could get this whole thing, and this is a stock version of it. You can get something like this aftermarket wise that comes with these guys that are adjustable. They're sort of offset. This thing has the little peg that this sits on is in the center of this guy here, and so this, even if you spin this around, it stays in the same spot. The other one, it's off center, the aftermarket ones, and therefore raising or lowering the seat, and so you can spin this around and this thing will move, you know, up or down basically. And so I didn't want that. I wanted the stock one, and then I'm going to make this fit on there the way I want it to, in a custom way. And so I just wanted the stock one that was in the center for whatever reason. I might have been better off the other one, I don't know, but I wanted the stock one. This part I can't use. I already tried it out. There's no way the seat won't even fit on here, because this bike, the seat I have is off of an R1200GSA. This bracket piece is off a K1600GT. Yeah, so we don't need this bracket. So there's this guy. Let's grab our seat. And the reason I wanted this is because it fits our seat. Here is our seat. We turn our seat upside down. You can kind of see that there are these little bracket things here, and this thing fits in there. Like so. And that's a pretty solid connection, more solid than I would have expected it to be. Now we got that. On the back side, there's supposed to be little clips that clip in right here and here. That's something I'm gonna have to make myself at some point. Right now, I am just worried about getting this part hooked up to the bike. So now I've got to figure out how this goes on the bike and how it sits on the bike currently. All right, so on our actual VFR, we've got, this little sort of loop here was on the original to the VFR seat system. This helps hold on the VFR seat. And this bracket here attaches to the tank, and it also attaches to this bracket down here there's like a bolt that goes through the center here, and it acts sort of like a hinge. So we have to make some sort of adapter off of this loop here. I'm going to tighten all this stuff down and attach it onto the bike, and we'll see how everything sort of sits on here. All right, in theory, that should be as straight as it can possibly be. I've got it tied down back here, bolted down, and bolted down here on that main bracket on the bottom, so this should be straight. So let's check out our seat. Got a bracket on here. I've got it sort of turned upside down, maybe, I don't know. I want the seat to sort of sit in here like that, and I want to somehow see what's going on here. Do I have a flashlight? I do. All right, so that bracket is, these two brackets are kind of nowhere near each other. If I rotate this thing around like this, I think it's... Alright, so I think the seat will sit on there about like that. Currently, the way the bracket is set up. So I've got the bracket on there about like that. So I sort of rotate it back against the seat. And then it comes into contact with my little bar down here. So in theory, I could weld that bar onto this thing. All right, I'm going to take all these brackets off and see if we can weld something together. Just get it tacked up, and then we'll test fit and see how everything works. We'll have to refine and test fit and make adjustments and do all that stuff over and over again, probably. And that's kind of the process here. All right, so we've got our two little brackets here. There's some housekeeping stuff here where they've got little pieces of rubber. I definitely want to take those off here. Take our grommets off as well. Look at that. All that is a metal I thought it had like a little sort of indent or whatever on the outside here that held these things on. I guess not. But yeah, and then I tried to get a bit of a measurement here with my angle finder to at least estimate what angle this thing is at, or should be at. And so I tried doing that, and we'll try and get it set up that way when the time comes. Right now I need to figure out where my center is on this guy. I want to make sure I mark the center, and we'll mark the center on the other one, and we'll line up those centers. All right, and then my general idea is to line up those centers and get my angle and tack that thing together. Should clean up the metal on here first. Now this thing here is galvanized, so it's dangerous to weld because it will off-gas horrible stuff that can make you sick. So I'm definitely going to wear a respirator when I do this welding. When I get it set up, I'll be back. All right, I think we've got everything clamped up here. It's always a bit of a contraption trying to fixture these things. So, but I think we've got it set up. I've got my angle on there as best I can, my sort of what is essentially a guesstimate angle anyway, so we'll see. I just need to get these things close, and then hopefully we'll be able to adjust it without having to redo everything. All right, I've let it cool down here, and I'm gonna put my little pieces of rubber back on here and see what this looks like on the actual bike. Yeah, and one of the problems is now attaching these bolts is not as easy as it used to be. All right, so in theory we are close. Let's see if this can go on here or not. I think that's fully seated. And we're off. We got a gap, man. So I think that is fully seated. Those grommets are in there as far as they'll go, and we've got a decent gap here, so we need to fix that. Let's measure this gap. It's a little less than ½ an inch. All right, so currently I've got a specific angle on here, and I'm thinking if I change my angle, that will give me my ½ inch, basically, that I'm looking for. To cut this just a little bit here, so I can try and bend this over just a little bit, and then we'll re-weld. All right, I think I might be there. It wasn't much, I just needed a slight adjustment. All right, so it's back on. It does look like it's closer to the tank here. So we'll see, let's try the seat. It's kind of better, but I was hoping that We can get it closer than that. I guess there is a bit of a limitation here with how close this can actually, these grommets can get to the tank. That is currently my limitation on this. All right, so I think this is about as good as I'm going to get it. It is pretty darn close to the tank, but there are some slight gaps on the sides right about here. But I kind of knew that going forward that it wasn't a absolutely perfect zero tolerance fit on this thing, but it was going to be a lot closer than I had hoped it would be or imagined it would be when I ordered a seat off a different bike. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and try and weld that thing up a little bit more solid. And yeah, for reference, these grommets are about as close to the tank as I can get them. Basically, I mean, they're right there. Conveniently, when this thing is angled forward so much, and I can reach these bolts actually reasonably well. So yeah, so this is actually not a bad setup. It kind of worked out fairly well, really. So that's it. We'll see you next time. And next time I'm gonna want to work on getting the tank on there and getting some gas in here, starting this thing up. Freaking, it's time, man.